Hey y'all. So, AW WrestleDream was that night, and I figured I'd hop on here and give my 2 cents about it. Right off the bat, just so I don't forget what I'm gonna say, the main event, Bryan Danielson vs. Jon Moxley. It's funny, I was just talking about some similar that happened in the Bryan Okada match. I'll get to that in a second. But I'm so glad I didn't put money on this. Because I never, I won't say never would have, but I wouldn't really have expected Moxley to beat Bryan. And the reason why it's funny to me is because in the Bryan Danielson Okada match for the AW title, well, technically it was a double title match, but the Continental title was only on the line for the first 20 minutes, which you knew it was going longer than 20 minutes. Bryan Danielson and Kazuchika Okada. It's the third time they've met. Funny, because in that match I said, I'd actually be okay with Bryan using the title here. I mean, it's kind of a foregone conclusion who's gonna win in Okada Moxley then, but I'd be okay with that because realistically, and no disrespect to anything, I love the guy who informed at WrestleMania 30, who informed to win the AW title. Watson was always fantastic. But realistically, who were they in AW left for Bryan Danielson to face? Legitimately. I mean, the problem was saying, well, he hadn't faced this person yet, he hadn't faced this person, and hadn't faced that person. That can go on for who knows how long. Cause new people are always gonna come in that Bryan Danielson, this version of Bryan Danielson, not Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, hasn't faded down yet. I mean, Moxley and, then Dean Ambrose and Daniel Bryan met in WB. And I get these comments sometimes, I see them. I don't get them directly, but I see them, and they're irritating. Like, Tony Khan announces a big match, or a big match taking place in another promotion, and you see under the heading in the comments, well, this happened on Raw. You could just watch it on Raw. This happened on Raw like 8 years ago, 4 years ago maybe. And I get why they do that. And these comments are, well, not even primarily, they are coming from E-Drone, who just want to try to yes in the Impact, who just want to try to, I can say yes in the Impact, I don't know a better way to say that. But yeah, Dean Ambrose and Daniel Bryan probably faded off a couple of times in WB. I'd be kind of surprised if they didn't. In fact, I remember they did, because I remember they had that WrestleMania, or not a WrestleMania match, I'm sorry. The team of Ryback, I'm getting all confused, but I won't try to go down that route anymore. My point is, I'm sure they fade off in WB at some point. But this version of them two hasn't faded off but once in AW. And I need to rewatch that match. But they haven't faded off but once in AW. And even though I was thinking, I'd be okay with Bryan using the title to Okada because, well, it's Okada, first foremost, and also use Bryan IDF to face. But Bryan beat Okada in kind of a lame way, admittedly, in hindsight now that we know that probably not going to be another match for a championship, and yes, Bryan challenges for the Continental title at some point. But even that feels like a bit of a downgrade. No offense to Okada and his title reign. But yeah, the match starts off hard, and if you couldn't tell, Moxley won. But the match starts off hard with the final countdown playing Bryan Danielson's entrance music. I'm not going to go over this match beat for beat, but I am going to go through some of the major parts that I noticed and that I saw. So the song's playing, the final countdown, and I'm getting emotional. I would kind of get emotional because this is Bryan the Act run. That song just fits. I mean, if it wasn't his entrance theme already, which it was in Ring of Honor, but if it wasn't his entrance theme already, like I'd say it perfectly encapsulates its final run. And what's great is that it was his entrance theme already in Ring of Honor. So Tony Khan just had they don't pay it every week. That's still a hefty price even for a billionaire to pay. But they do get it out on special occasions. Well, I think they paid it for every time Bryan to come out every match, but I'm not entirely sure. Well, every match is its final runs in the announced retirement anyway. But I'm not entirely sure about that. So the song playing, Moxley attacks Bryan. While the song playing, it's just an epic fizzle and a great auditory moment, just a great moment to see, a great moment to feel. It just filled you with emotion, filled you with triumph. This underdog story of Bryan even before the match started. But Bryan turned the table rather quickly, and he hit Moxley with a drop kick into the barricade, and they eventually get into the ring. There's Psycho Knees, there's Death Riders, there's Paradigm Zips, there's a lot of Psycho Knees. A lot of, I won't say overdone because it's not, but I was surprised at the amount of Psycho Knees that Moxley took, which I shouldn't be, because if you think about it from a kayfabe perspective, they've been training with each other in the Blackpool Combat Club, in the Blackpool Dojo, basically since the start of 2020, basically since the start of the pandemic, really. So they've been trained with each other, and Moxley's probably taken a lot of those knees over the years. I've not been privy to any insider information, obviously, but I'm just guessing Moxley knows how to absorb Bryan impact, even if it's not specifically a Psycho knee. But we get like 5 or 6 per second knees. John Moxley still kicks out. John Moxley focuses his attack on the neck and on the... Which I don't know if this was kayfabe or not. I don't think it was. But Brian does the Brio in the eye, so who knows. A few days before this match, I saw it a few days before, it was reported that Bryan Danielson was getting some numbness in his hand and up on your extremities. And, as you know, all of them are, well, maybe you don't know, but all your nervous system right here basically is connected to your neck. It runs down there. So, yeah, Moxley targeted the neck, and it was a great setup for this match. I mean, I don't know if the other people saw that, but whether they did or they didn't, it doesn't matter all that much. Bryan had just been really selling the neck. Well, I don't know how much selling he's had to do, but he's been really focused on the neck area and everything, and his the numbness maybe gets in his body and everything. He's talked about that. He talked about needing neck surgery more sooner than later. So yeah, that was a great, whether it was 10 or not, that was a great story for this match. Moxley just kept focusing on the neck, kept focusing on the head of Bryan Danielson, and I mean, it just to me, he didn't want to do this, but he knew he had to. He knew Bryan wanted a warrior death, and he wouldn't yet. He said in the promo package, in the pre-recorded promo package, that he wouldn't yet Bryan fall on his own sword. I mean, he was going to take him out, basically. That's not specifically what he said, but he was going to take him out, basically. He was not going to let Bryan fall on his own sword. And I saw a report today. I saw a report today that Bryan wanted to use to Moxley. He wanted to use in a kind of roundabout way, which is fine. Like I say, I think I would have run at Okada when they had the LP title, because, well, I think him and Bryan match up better, and also that's a dream match that we got to see for the third time on free television on the 5th anniversary of Dynamite. And we got it in a double title match. I mean, can you imagine if Okada beat Bryan Danielson? Not only won the AEW title, retained the Continental title, but retired Bryan Danielson, the guy who many people claim as the best wrestler in the world. And Okada is a guy that many people claim the best wrestler in the world. Whether you be that or not, it's subjective. But Okada and Danielson both have had very illustrious careers. But I mean, what's good about that too is you can watch the match for yourself. I'm not doing it justice. Like I say, it was violent. It was a war. I can't do it justice. I'm not going through it beat for beat. But it's what you would expect from these two if you've seen either one of their matches or their Revolution match against each other. Revolution 2020, I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was either 2020 or 2021, but I'm 99% sure it was 2020. Like I say, I need to go back and watch that match again. But there were Bulldog choke, there paradigm shift of the second knees or the variant, like I say, you should hunt it down if you're so inclined to. But what's great about it is before the match, I mean way before, like a month or two before, though this match was originally supposed to be, it was originally supposed to be Darby Allin and Bryan Danielson at Grand Slam for the AW title, but they wanted to do a bigger match before Bryan retired, so it was Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson. Now, I thought it was for the title, but apparently it wasn't. I'm not really sure why, but it wasn't for the title. But that was a good match too. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of Grand Slam, you get Darby Allin putting up his number one contendership for the AW title against Jon Moxley. And Jon Moxley won. Not handed you anything, I don't guess, but he won. He beat Darby Allin, and that's how he ultimately became AW champion. That's same story. That's kind of the same story that they told with Cody versus Darby for the TNT Championship. Darby got a shot at Cody 1-on-1 with the dental with him. And then he got another shot at Dynamite in a tournament, in the inaugural TNT tournament, and Cody beat him. Finally, they meet for the TNT title, 1-on-1 again, and Darby beats him. And not only that, but Cody gives him an endorsement. So, we got two matches between Darby Allin and Jon Moxley now. First took place on Dynamite 2020, and second took place at Grand Slam for the number one contendership. The third match, Darby's gonna beat him. And he has some extra motivation now, because at the end of the match, at the end of Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley, at the end of that match, they attacked Bryan Danielson. Darby was not only attacked, Darby was taped. Not handcuffed, he was taped. He was taped to the rope for it to wire so he couldn't do anything. And they about crippled Bryan Danielson. Which it's all kayfabe to write him out for surgery, but they about crippled Bryan Danielson. They put a chair around his neck, they pilmanized his neck, Jon Moxley stomped on his neck, stomped on the chair, and gave him a pile driver, where he focused on the neck the entire match, and Darby was fun to watch. So he's got some extra motivation now. Especially considering the fact that Wheeler Yuta turned on this match. At the end, Wheeler Yuta took out who came to help him, took out Darby Allin with a bicycle knee of his own. Took out Darby Allin. Moxley handed him a plastic bag. He jammed it over Bryan's head and basically wanted to choke him unconscious because, if you got a plastic bag over your head, this isn't a work or anything, but if you got a plastic bag over your head, you can't really breathe. You can't, I'm sure there's certain ways, but you can't breathe. You're not supposed to be able to if you're not trained for that situation. But you can't breathe with the plastic bag over your head. They take Bryan out. Royal's conflicted. Like I say, Darby has all the motivation in the world now. I don't expect Moxley's reign to get all that young. I mean, not that I don't want it to be young, but the same thing I said with Bryan Danielson. There's not really a lot of competition for Moxley to face that he hasn't already put down. I mean, there's Hangman, I guess. I can't remember if they ever had a match before, but there's not the other name for Moxley to face. So I would maybe Darby Allin versus Moxley at the next pay-per-view, since Bryan retired now and Bryan won't. He is retired full time. He's not retired from the ring permanently, which he said he would never do that. But he's retired from full-time competition. I say Moxley versus Darby Allin at the next pay-per-view. I don't want to say World Then, but I'm going to softly say World Then. I'm not sure what the next pay-per-view is, to be honest. But, so, the main event out of the way, like I say, I'm glad I didn't put money on, because I would not have expected Moxley to beat Bryan. Did Moxley beat Bryan at Revolution? I would have expected Bryan to get his win back. But honestly, after that, I mean, that Darby, but if Bryan beat Moxley, I mean, I thought about, okay, Bryan beat Moxley, and Okada come out and challenges Bryan. Because Bryan didn't exactly win in the keenest of ways in that match. It was a wrecking move, but Okada was semi-detracted. He didn't win in the keenest of ways. He didn't cheat or anything, but there was an asterisk next to that. So we maybe get that match again at some point as special attraction match. I say there's a 99% chance we'll get Kenny Omega versus Bryan again, which is great. Cause one and only time they wrestled to a 30-minute draw, which it was a great match, and they may just want to keep it at that. And that's fine if they do that. But selfishly, I want to see that match again. Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson. So, Moxley's the new AEW champion. It should be really interesting come Dynamite, especially with Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta was seemingly aligned with Bryan the last few weeks, but Wheeler Yuta turned on him. I don't know if he's any more convicted about that. But we get Yohan, Dodd was a third match. Dodd was a third match here. I actually blanked on what the third match was. I remember Ricochet versus Takeda versus. The third match was good. Damn, get back. I don't. Damn, get back. Adam Cole came back. I do not. I'm sure I remember eventually, but I do not remember what the third match was. I am sorry, but I remember MJF came back, and more importantly, Adam Cole came back, and they were and he was Adam Cole was walking good. He was running. I remember Daniel Garcia was in the third match, but I don't remember what it was. But but it was a good match. I do remember that because Danny Garcia was in it. But MJF came come back, put Danny Garcia down with he's about to hit him with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. But Adam Cole come out, chased them away. That's maybe going to be picked up at some point. I don't know if Adam Cole's Medicaid kid or what's supposed to be months from now. But I don't know if they were just a one-off appearance. I wouldn't think it was, because why bring him out like that? But I don't know if he's Medicaid kid to return the ring or not. I would hope he is. But next up, we get the women's match. We get Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale for the AEW Women's title. This was a really good match, because I'm not gonna go over matches beat for beat. But this was a real good match with power versus finesse type of match. But it was really good for what it was. I didn't think Willow was winning. No offense to Willow, but I just didn't think it was the time. But to be fair, I didn't expect Moxley to beat Bryan either, and look what happened. I'm glad I didn't put any money on any of these matches. But we get some good power, some good technical wrestling between the two, and Mariah May wins. The win was the Storm Zero, which I guess he's adopting as a new finisher. And this thing with Mariah May and Toni Storm, it's not over. Mariah May think it's over, but it's not over. So I'm looking forward to whatever comes of that. Next up, we get an interview between Jerry Yin and Orange Cassidy, where Jerry Yin basically said to Orange Cassidy, "Hey, I followed you a long time. With all the chaos going on around here, if you really applied yourself and you really tried, you could be the guy in this company." And after that, Hook comes up to him and says, "Hey, he's right, Owen. You could be the guy if you really applied yourself." I added the part, okay, now I'm gonna go back to worrying about my dead dad. Taz isn't dead. He's just been written off TV for knee replacement surgery. But what they did is they just played it off as an angle like he was attacked in the parking lot. Next up, get the tag team title match. We get Hologram versus Beat Mortos, which is great, because I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna miss the pre-show, I'm gonna miss that match, I really want to see that match, and that match deserves to be on the main card, and here it is, on the main card. I don't know if it got bumped up, if it was just always on the main card. I thought it was on the pre-show, but I don't know. But all I can say is I'm really happy this made it the main card. This was a 2 out of 3 falls match, and I kind of did yike and yikes at Timmy Ethan at the same time, because I knew they were going to go 1-1, with the exception of 1 2 out of 3 falls match that I can think of. All 2 out of 3 falls matches that I have seen go 1-1. The third falls are kind of irrelevant. I a fan because of them going 1-for-1. Hologram is undefeated. So that means he'd have to take a pinfall, or he'd have to be submitted. And I wasn't the biggest fan of that, it's not the end of the world, but I wasn't the biggest fan of that. But the announcer did clarify, I suspected this, but the announcer did clarify that the overall winner would be recorded. Not say if Hologram got pinned by Beast Mortals, but then went on to win the entire thing, that pinfall wouldn't really be recorded. It'd be wouldn't really be a legitimate victory. I mean, Hologram would still be recorded as the winner because they beat him. Now, I thought this was for a title. I don't know why, but no, it was just a regular Todd of Three Falls match, which was great. But I heard that 2 out of 3 Falls matches are traditional in UCE, they're common. You remember Raw a few years ago when every match was a 2 out of 3 Falls match to help with the feel of commercials and everything? Well, in Mexico they actually have a reason to do that. Besides the commercials, besides the overabundance of them. This was a really great match. Oh, I just remembered I skipped over to Kenta with Ospreay and Ricochet, but I'll get to that after this. This was a really good match. Yeah, I can say they went, basically said they went 1-1, beat Mortals and Hologram. This was just tie-ad after tie-ad, high-five after high-five, done crippy. Basically high-ad package the entire match, which was just great. And Beat Mordo got to show what he can do. I mean, I knew it was good, but he got to show what he could do. He could keep up with Hologram. He could ground Hologram if he needed to, which he needed to. Hologram does need to be grounded sometimes. But like I say, this was a really good match, really action-packed. Really, it's at this point I kind of realized there was only like 5 or 6 matches on this card, which I was completely okay with. I'm okay with more matches. Like, I'm not one of those guys who complains, which no shade as anyone who complains about it. I know the majority of them are podcasts that talk about wrestling with thousands or even millions of subscribers, so I'm not knocking them at all. But I'm fine with bigger matches because I'm not one of those guys. I'm one of those guys that can afford to stay up because I've not got really anything to do. Hopefully I'll have something to do soon. But as for right now, I don't really have anything to do. But I realize there's like 5 or 6 matches on the card, and every match got time. I'm not saying matches will cut for time or anything. All the matches got an appropriate use of time, but that was like 5 or 6 matches on the card, which I was great with. If Tony Khan wanted to keep it at 5 or 6, that's great. They go 1-1, but Hologram eventually wins. Hologram, I forget what he won with. Like I say, I'm not doing the matches beat for beat. Seek the match out if you want to watch it. But Hologram wins, which that was an awesome match. But the match that preceded it may have been even better. The match that I kicked Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita versus Ricochet for the International title. Ricochet is the International Champion. This was just a high octane match. Everything that hologram versus Beast Mortals was, but dialed up to 11 or something. I say I really want to see hologram versus Will Ospreay. I really want to see hologram versus Ricochet, hologram versus Takeshita, which we're gonna get those matches because hologram is way over. But we got the triple threat, which was great. It was action-packed, neat, just flip, just dive, just high impact maneuvers, just grip action. This isn't for everyone, which is funny because Ricochet was in WB a few months ago, a month or two ago even. He was in WB, and Will Ospreay was being courted by WB a few months ago, 6 months ago or something. And these same people who were down on this match would have been throwing the ticker tape parade, either if Ricochet re-signed or if Will Ospreay signed to WB. They say, AW, we got the best flyer, we got the best tie flyer in the world, no. But since they're in AW, they have to hate them now. What is that existence they must need? But anyway, that was just, that will never not fail to be. That will never fail to not be funny to me. But this match, it's a high octane match. It's a power move, I can say. And Ospreay eventually wins. But, Takeshita wins. Which is interesting. I'm happy for Takeshita. I thought they were doing something with him and Okada for the Continental title. And maybe they will. Maybe they'll come back to it. Takeshita win the Continental Classic and challenges Okada for the Continental title, which would be great. I'd love to see that match. I think Okada's gonna win because as good as Takeshita is, Okada's just on another level, and Ospreay may be on a level even above that. But Konosuke Takeshita wins. He pinned Will Ospreay, but it's the way he does it. So Will Ospreay had to get to dead or rights, and then someone in a black hoodie just interfered, and the announcers are saying, "Oh, it's Kyle Fletcher. I'm like, no, it wouldn't be Kyle. It wouldn't be Kyle Fletcher. No, that'd be kind of a disappointment. Not that I don't love Kyle. I think he has the potential to be even better than Ospreay, because he literally looks like a younger version of Ospreay. And Ospreay is pretty young. Ospreay's 30, 32, 35 maybe. He's pretty young, but Kyle Fletcher is even a younger version of Ospreay now. But Yoan Behold is Kyle Fletcher, and I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of a disappointment. I mean, I sort of seen it coming, but that was kind of a disappointment. I was hoping it was, I didn't know who it would be, but I was hoping it was someone different. But they're gonna do on the bright side, they're probably going to do Kyle Fedra versus Wasberg again, which is going to be a amazing match. And Takeshita, Konosuke Takeshita, your international champion, which is awesome. I mean, hopefully now he gets more time on Dynamite. I mean, not that he's been hurting to wrestle, he's been wrestling on Kieran and Rampage, but hopefully he gets more time on Dynamite, because I know Dynamite's not doing great in the ratings for however much stock you put in that, but it still does better ratings than Kieran and Rampage. So hopefully this means to get more screen time on Rampage. One thing I forgot to mention. Oh, I remember what the first match was. I remember. It was Hangman Page versus Jay White. And this was a great match too. I was sort of conflicted thinking about it because honestly, and I say Jay White needed it a little bit more because Yas isn't gonna hurt Hangman the mate already. But I say I was a little conflicted because I thought both of these men really needed the win. But that's kind of a, and yet they go to draw. That's kind of a no wins is a way thing because one had to be beaten and one had to win. But Jay White won, which ultimately was the right decision. Hangman's gonna go on to beat someone who kept him away from Swerve. I can't remember what the next rivalry is, but which Swerve situation is really funny. His position in AEW. I'll get to that in a minute. But Jay White ultimately won. This was a good match. Not really the showcase for Jay White that I would have liked, but this was a good match. And Jay White beat Hangman, and Jay White's going after the AEW title. I can't say he's going to win. I would like him to, but I can't say he's going to win the AEW title yet. But I would love to see, there's a match I don't think we've seen, Jay White versus Moxie. I'd love to see that match. Then though, Moth happened with Daniel Garcia and MJF and everything. I forget if it was that match or the Jack Perry Sabata match. I'm pretty sure it was the first match though. We get Kazuyo Sabata versus Jack Perry for the FTW the FTW title. We get the TNT title. I'm sorry, the FTW title. I knew that one right because the FTW titles are retired. But we get Jack Perry versus Kazuyo Sabata for the TNT title. And I haven't seen any of Sabata since before I got hurt in 2017. But this was a really good match, or I guess sewing for him. I mean, I would have liked it to be more of a showcase for for Jack Perry, but that's okay. So the finish, I know we other people are going to be down on, and I was down on it initially, and it depends on what they do next, because the finish, Sabata had Jack Perry wrapped up in a zipper hold. Jack Perry countered, but Sabata held on. Sabata held on to the zipper hold. Jack Perry shifted his weight, so Sabata's shoulders were down. Jack Perry got the 3 count on Sabata, which I'm not exactly sure that happened. The announcer tried to make it seem like, Sabata was caught up in the moment. Everything. I don't actually know if I believe that. Cause Sabata's been wrestling for a number of years. Been wrestling for like 15 or 20 years or so. He should be aware of every inch of that ring of what so does at all times. But why I say it depends on what they do next is I would accept that, and I understand why people are down on the finish, but I accept it if they're going to do another match. Because Sabata's got a grievance. Not much of one, I suppose, but he's got a grievance. He's got, hey, I was caught up in the moment, I didn't realize my shoulders were down, you didn't beat me legitimately, I beat myself basically, let's go again. And then it can be a soul cage for Jack Perry. Hopefully. But Jack Perry retained the TNT title. Next up, we get Swerve's segment with Prince Nana. And like I say, Swerve's situation is just kind of mystifying to me. His position in AEW now. Because this is a guy who broke into a man's house. Not just a man, but broke into his co-worker's house. And frightened their baby. I mean, he went into the nursery. Their baby wasn't in there probably, but he went into the nursery. He acted like he was scaring the baby. He was talking to him and everything. So, Swerve violated the sanctity of Hangman's home. He doxed him and his wife. We got that after the fact, way after the fact, right before the Bob Wyatt Till Cage match. I think it was a Bob Wyatt Till Cage match. It was just Till Cage. I think it was just Till Cage match or death match. I don't exactly remember, but I'm pretty sure. No, it's just a steel cage match, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. So he doxed him and his wife. Found out for the steel cage match. So Swerve is not a good person. Swerve is committed, I forget what the legal term is, but he's breaking and entering, that's right. He's broken and entered to Hangman's house, violated the sanctity of his home when he wasn't there, and by accounts his wife wasn't there either, to protect herself or her son, which begs the question, where was the wife? But we're not supposed to use that deep into it. It's just a funny detail that I just remember that they never addressed. But so this is the man who's broken Hangman's health, doxed him and his wife, and yet Hangman is the bad guy. I mean, not even to the fans. Not even just to the fans. The announcers, they paid up like, oh, Hangman is just deplorable. Hangman is a deplorable human being. Hangman burned down Swerve's home. Hangman brutalized him in that Till Cage match. That guy, Swerve started all this. this could have been a nice, keen rivalry, but Swerve had to go and make it personal. So I have no sympathy. Regardless of what the announcers say, if Yeet 10-man went over on Swerve in their final match, which if Swerve won in the final match, it would have been terrible. I mean, it would have just been not exactly terrible, but it would have been questionable at best. So we get the segment between Swerve and Nana. We get Swerve kind of talking about how much Nana mean to him. We get MVP and Shelton Benjamin coming out. I thought Bobby Lashley was gonna debut here, but we get there's another match at UFC, Bobby Lashley vs. Jon Moxley. So maybe there is some more talent for Moxley to face, like Ricochet and Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay had never beaten Jon Moxley. I mean, I don't think he's ever really gotten a one-on-one match with Jon Moxley before. He may have, and Moxley just beat him, but I don't remember. So Moxley vs. Will Ospreay is one more match that I'd up to see. That and Sabre. But we get MVP and Shelton Benjamin coming out and talking to Swerve about Maria and taking Swerve on the tour down memory lane, and this whole time you could feel the tension in the air. I mean, I sort of knew where this was going, but it didn't stop the tension from filling the air. So Swerve talking about how much Nana's meant to him, but he's also talking about, under you, you had my championship, my childhood home was burned down, and at that point I'm like, okay, but you became AW champion under Nana. Some other stuff happened that was good for you. So, but he does address that. He does say, but on the other hand, there's I wouldn't have had any of that if it wasn't for you. And he basically says at the end, Nana's family, and I don't turn my back on family. I figured he'd mention that dance that Nana does, because I am not a fan. Basically of the dance that he does. I wasn't a fan of Danny Garcia's dance either, so it's not a back thing or anything. But yeah, he didn't do that. He basically said at the end, hey, not a family, I don't turn my back on family, I don't abandon them. So he turned his back on MVP and Shelton Benjamin. He wouldn't go with him. Yeah, because I thought there was a thread at the end of this by MVP and Shelton Benjamin. Like, basically, if you're not with it, you're against us. That's not exactly what they said, but basically that's what they said. I thought Bobby Lashley was going to come out and spear him. I really thought Bobby Lashley was going to debut here. That was the bet in the war thing, McMahon. There's only one person who can handle Swerve, and that is Shane McMahon. But I'm 100% joking. If Tony Khan sees this, I'm 100% joking, man. Do not bring Shane McMahon in as an active radio. No one wants that. I know he's got some honor good the best in the world, but it should have gone to Dolph Ziggler. It should have been him, as he had to say. But, so that ends. Next up, we get the tag team title match. Private Party versus Matthew and Nikki Jackson versus the EVPs. And this was a really good match. Cause it's funny. And the Young Bucks had to say as much, but it's funny. When AEW first started, the second match in AEW history, in AEW Dynamite history, the second match in the history, they held a tournament for the inaugural Tag Team Champions. And it was Young Bucks against Private Party. And Private Party beat them. So then they started gathering momentum. Then I remember I told one of my friends, the Elite, a fellow YouTuber, you may have heard of him if you don't subscribe to the channel. He makes really good content. But I told him, man, give them a year or two, and I wouldn't be surprised if Private Party surpassed Young Bucks have leveled up from the Young Bucks. But they basically have done nothing. I mean, it's been injury after injury. I think between the two, they've both been injured at inopportune times. So I don't exactly blame them or Tony Khan, because it's just been bad timing. But man, Private Party should be a lot higher than they are now. And if they were healthy, if they weren't injured during that time, they would have been. They would have been Tag Team Champions by now. But because of that, because all that injury stuff happened, which they weaved in the storyline, because all that injury stuff happened, this is the first shot at the AEW Tag Team titles. The promo beforehand for Private Party, so that trainer Amazing Red says, "Hey, you squandered yourself," which in kayfabe that's what they saying happened, which I appreciate. I appreciate them trying to say, "Hey, this happened." Basically, Amazing Red said, "Hey, you've been partying. You've been wrapped up in the glamour and the gifts of being a national wrestler, being a global star. You've been wrapped up in that life with drinking and partying and everything. But now it's time to get serious, because basically what I said is what Amazing Red said. Private Party should be a lot higher than they are now on the card. But they've done nothing throughout those 5 years. They've done nothing. But, like I say, I appreciate them trying to bring some simians and a storyline reason for it, and saying, "Hey, you've just been partying too much, you've been wrapped up in the glamour and the lifestyle." But it's time to get serious, because the Young Bucks are already 2-time AEW Tag Team Champions. You're not even a 1-time. You both have been here since the very beginning of this company. You beat the Young Bucks in your first match on television, on AEW television indeed. But they went on to greatness, and you went on basically to do nothing. So I appreciated that storyline. The Young Bucks basically say the same thing, basically dress them down, basically say, "Hey, time to get serious, because this is your shot. This is your first shot, and maybe only shot at Tag Team Gold. So we want to see you get serious." And, I mean, they do, because Private Party attacks them before they can even finish their promo. A little Private Party, if you will, to start off this match. I think with Isaiah, he gets one of the Bugs in a twist to fade and twist to face him, and Mark Quinn comes up with a swanton off the top rope. I'm surprised they didn't mention the Hardys. I'm surprised they didn't say, oh, a little Private Hardy, if you will. So I thought that was good. Yeah, Kid Time with Matt Hardy basically meant nothing, I should say, but I thought that was a good enough payoff anyway. This was a really good match. They two haven't met. Since their first meeting all those years ago. So this was a really high octane, action packed match. Private Party was just I won't say on another level or even the best I've seen them, but Private Party was the best I've seen them in a long time. I didn't think they would win, but there was a moment when the Bucks gets one of the Private Party members hits them with the V trigger. Well, hits him with the EVP trigger, what they're calling it now, and he kicks out, and I'm like, okay, they're probably not gonna win, but I'm gonna buy in a little bit to them winning, because like I say, they should be much higher, and they have it in them. They have it in them to beat the Bucks. They've done it in the Bucks and Private Party's first match together. Well, at least that I've seen on AEW television. So they are capable of beating the Bucks. They just need to be a little bit more focused than they have been. But the Bucks get them with the Tony Khan driver and beat them. Still your AEW Tag Team Champion are the Young Bucks. Hopefully both members of the Private Party can stay healthy, because like I say, if both of them were healthy at the same time throughout those 5 years, they would be multiple, if not at least one time, AEW Tag Team Champions by now. So hopefully they can both stay healthy and no injury between the two, because the injury bug is significantly bitten. I think Mark Quinn more than Isaiah, so hopefully he can really stay healthy. Cause I know not that he should, but I'm just trying to get into his head a little bit. I can imagine that he feels sort of guilty. Like they came in as a tag team. And when you come into the tag team, in any promotion really, when you come into the tag team, and one of you gets injured, maybe through no fault of your own, and through no fault of their own, creator basically just has nothing for you. Not really anything to do with you, but because they have something planned for your tag team, and you're not in a tag team anymore. Now, they did try to put Isaiah in a temporary tag team and a makeshift tag team with Matt Hardy, but that didn't work out too well. People wanted Mad Jeff Hardy in AEW. But this was a good match. Hopefully not the last time the two teams meet. But this was a really good match for what it was. Next up, I thought the main event was next, because this is where I started this was done the same way. There's only been 4 or 5 matches, but I can't remember anymore. So are we already at the main event? But no, there was one more match yet before the main event indeed. It was Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho really made this personal. Chris Jericho said, "Hey, Mark, you can't beat me. You can't beat me." He didn't say this, but Mark's brother, the late great Jay Briscoe, was always champion long before Mark Briscoe was. Long before. So Jericho said, Mark is the always champion coming into this match, by the way. Jericho said, "You can't beat me, Mark. Maybe your brother Jay could have, but part to get under the skin, part because it may be all true, because I can say Jay Briscoe was I think a two-time always champion. But it took Mark Briscoe this young to win the title. But because I think they just saw something more in Jay than they did in Mark. But no offense if Mark Briscoe sees this or anything like that. I'm not trying to come at you or anything, brother. I'm just. But anyway, the match starts off, and Chris Jericho hits a code breaker like 30 seconds into this match. Goes for the pin on Mark, and Mark kicks out. He kicks out, maybe not even a 1 count, he just kicks out. Either before the counter 1 or right after the counter 1. He just kicks out. He starts wailing on Chris Jericho. They start exchanging, which Chris Jericho seemed to step ahead of Mark Briscoe the entire match, which is a good story to tell because, like you remember, Chris Jericho said at the beginning of this, "Yeah, Jay could have beaten me. You can't beat me, Mark. Maybe Jay could have beaten me, but you can't beat me, Mark." So Jericho seemed to step ahead of Mark Briscoe with the Judas effect, goes for the with beating up on him with Judas effect, goes for the J Joe, goes for the active complete disrespect because and Jericho will probably be kicking himself for this because he hit the Judas effect on Mark Briscoe after a second code breaker, by the way. Maybe not immediately after a second code breaker. He hits the Judas effect on Mark Briscoe. He didn't go for the cover because he wanted to add insult to injury. He wanted Mark Briscoe, to get Mark Briscoe for the J Joe. At this point, my feet cut out. I'm not really sure why, but my feet cut out for a few minutes. And I haven't looked it up, but I'm going to assume Mark Briscoe won. But this was a real good match. From what I could see. Yeah, I could say Jericho dominated except for the actual midway got cocky. So I expect another match between these two. But if it doesn't happen, then that's okay. It's just something I expect because the story seemed to be there. But anyway, I've already talked about the main event. So that's my review for AEW Wrestle Dream 2024. And I'm really excited for the fallout, how they handle this. Cause they've got a Mac deal coming. So, which is really gonna dig in the craw of some AEW AW haters, E-drones, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, AW is gonna be around for a long time, despite what people would have you believe about the rating and AW dying and everything. No, AW is gonna be around for a long time. Maybe not as strong as they were, which I don't know how they fix that, but AW is gonna be around for the long haul. And I, for one, am really looking forward to it. So, I'll think when I see you, and thank you for sticking around for my review. Peace out.